Hey everybody, my name is G Martin. Thanks for watching. This is a 2v2 game in Grassy Flats. I am the GB player right there, Jow. And my trusty partner, as always, playing as Ottomans, is Point Man. I'm sure you've seen his videos. They're okay. Anyway, our opponents for this game are a couple dudes from the clan PDGC. And opposite me is a guy named Silent Server. And over there, opposite Point Man, is a dude named Admiral42. And I want to say, first of all, I thought these guys are really quality players. They played a pretty clean technical game. And so I want to say GG to them. The thing that I wanted to talk about this video is something that I've wanted to talk about or expand about for some time, but I really haven't had a good video to sort of express the concept, and I'm not really sure I have a sort of a comprehensive concept of it in my own head yet. But what I want to talk about is the concept of positional advantage. And if you've studied chess at all, you know that that is the fundamental strategic concept in chess, the idea of positional advantage. In chess, both players have the same quantity of units, they have the same quality of units, so the only way to generate advantage in chess is via position, have your units in a better position than your opponents. And Napoleon is actually fairly similar. We don't have the exact same quality of units, or maybe the same quality of units, but we both have the same amount of funds to spend to purchase on units that are theoretically balanced, etc., etc. Pretty close. And what really got me thinking about this is something Terminator said. Terminator said that, to paraphrase, that Napoleon is fundamentally a game about maneuver. And that was a really profound statement for him to make, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it. It's like, well, the whole concept of maneuver is to put your people, you're maneuvering them into the position that you want. Hence, you'd have a better position, hence you'd have positional advantage. And I've been thinking about this concept of positional advantage quite a bit. Most recently because I've been playing a fair amount of 1v1s lately against really good players. Most of my games against Point Man over there, and then Leonidas and Krasnikov have been kicking my ass in 1v1s lately. And the way that they generate positional advantages is by speed. They get their advantage, their people to the place where they want quickest. But I'm a little bit slower player. I'm more of a grinded out player, and I'll seek out my positional advantage a little bit slower. I think maybe the greatest sort of forcer of positional advantage is Kraz. Krasnikov is really, really good at getting his people into position really, really fast that he wants. I'm not. I'm a little bit slower. I'm an older guy. I move a little bit slower. But I thought this game was a really interesting example of that. Now, I want you to notice some things. Left flank, 3 line infantry right there. Me, 2 line infantry. I'm not going to count this one right here. I have 2 line in reserve. Okay. Over on the right side of the field, it's pretty static. We all have 5 lights, and we all have a handful of line and some cav. But this left flank is kind of interesting. What had happened is he had kind of moved his cav in on some reckless charge. I countercharged with my own cav. Don't really recommend that, but it wound up being a good idea in this particular sense. What I want you to look at is these 3 line units here facing off against my 2. This is how you generate positional advantage. Now, we both have the same amount of units. We both have 20 units. But it's... I always fucking do that. Sorry. But it's where your units are positioned that is relevant. Now, you notice that I'm moving my 2 line units over because I realize that I have a problem here. This guy is 3 against 2 if he wants to take it. Now, he's not taking it. I don't know why he's not taking it. What he does do is a clever little tactical move. When you go into square, your line units get a range of 125 as opposed to the normal 80. I recognize he's doing that, so I run my line units up. If this guy was smart, he would move this line unit into a position to shoot at me. And he's getting out of square because he realized what he did. Right? Oh, look at that! He's smart! He's moving his units. These guys are really good players, by the way. I think these guys are really quality players. But what I'm doing is he doesn't have any reserves, and I do. So I'm using my 2 reserve units to come over. And guess what? If my reserve units can show up, then I'll be on his flank. I also want to note that he doesn't have any cav in the neighborhood. And I do have I have two cav in the neighborhood. So what I'm trying to do is put an overwhelming preponderance of force over here. And note that I'm retreating away from his preponderance of force until I can generate mine. And again, I'll look back over here. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. But what does occur is that I get my 2 line units into position over here. Now he charges cav, makes me form square. Little speed bump. And in the short term, what has occurred is, see how he moves his foot guard unit up away from his line, or in a very aggressive position. I have 3 line units able to shoot at that foot guard, and I charge cav to make it form square. That'll just seal the deal. When you form square, the amount of firepower the unit puts out is very diminished. It's only about 1/4 of what it is normally. My 3 units are all putting out max firepower. And this dude lets me shoot at him, is what he does. I have positional advantage. I have put more units in a relevant firing position than he has. And I'm able even to retreat my cav unit and get it out of there with little no casualties. Now this guy is kind of smart. He realizes what's happening. So he moves his 3 units over. Now we're back to parity, right? It's 3 versus 3. But wait a minute. I put a cav unit in there. Make him form square. While he's in square, he can't shoot very hard. My units can. I have 2.5 units shooting at 1.5 units. I should have advantage here, right? I have advantage here. Something's going to happen. One of the guy over there sends a Lancer unit over to chase me. Point Man is going to retaliate by sending his own Lancer over to chase me, just to keep things even. We like to keep things fair. And we have kind of positional parity here. It's 3 versus 3, but I send the cav unit in, again, make him form square. That's his Lancer unit coming in. I get into square a little late. I don't think it causes me too much trouble, but I do get into square late against that Lancer. And I send another cav unit in to make him form square. That's what I do. And what I'm really trying to do is get my 4 line units against his 3 plus, maybe a light to fuck him up. Now, Pointy does the right thing. Pointy sends, instead of randomly chasing the other Lancer, Pointy sends his cav into this guy. We used our cav better here than they did. This Lancer is going to go on to do nothing really important. And now that this guy's cav is gone, I can get out of square, and I can keep shooting at him. And look at that. We just routed the foot guard. We just routed. This is important. Timeout. Timeout. This whole battle is very even. Look at all those units. It's 20 versus 19, because I just routed that 1 unit on the left. And the way I was able to do that is because I had more line there than he did. Okay? Now, if we did this in the style that, like, Rat's putting up lately, where we watch the meta perspective, the meta perspective is I turn that 1 unit. Now, watch what happens. Let's go into fast forward here. Watch what happens. I generate a little bit of positional advantage. Okay? Let's zoom in. And then I routed the next unit. I routed that unit there. And then all of a sudden, I'm able to put 3 units shooting at this 1 unit, and I'm going to route that. Right? I'm going to route that. And before you know it, if we look at the meta perspective, this guy's left flank is gone. And I have 4 line units on his flank. This guy is, from this point on, officially fucked. This guy is fucked. And he's smart enough to realize that. Like, he starts a little advance here in the middle against my lights. But the idea that I have the 4 line units on his left, he's really not going to be able to come back from. And now I still have a couple of cav units left that I can throw into the action. And I realize that I'm generating massive positional advantage here, so we want to exploit that. So I move my remaining cav over here. Now I have no cav on this flank left. But it doesn't matter, because I'm able to put my cav in to a point of the battle where it's relevant, right? I've generated massive advantage positionally, and I just want to continue that. I get my cav into there to make him form square. I continue the charge into the lights. Guess what? And, from this little kernel of advantage that I started on the left, I'm able to roll this guy's entire left flank. I mean, this was very incremental positional advantage. I leveraged 3 units over 2. He responded by reinforcing to make it 3v3, but I put cav in to make that 3v1. Now that it's 3v1, I've routed his lights there, and this game is going to turn into a complete rout. And this dude is a pretty good player. He did everything technically correct. He hit every square. He did everything that he should have done. I mean, compared to most of the people that I play with, this dude is a pretty damn good player. But you know, this game was won solely by taking advantage of incremental positional advantage. And I'm not the world's best Napoleon player. I'm still learning a lot and everything. And this is my predominant style of play. Um, but I think this battle really drives the lesson home that if you can generate incremental positional advantage, that look at this. No, I'm noob squaring this guy. You know what I mean? And there's not a whole lot he can do about it. Um, I have reserves that I haven't committed to the battle yet, and I'm routing this dude left and right. And I want to say no fault from his own. I thought he played a pretty good game, but he let me get away with a couple things. And I think the point of this is just to demonstrate how small advantages can spiral. Like a snowball rolling downhill. They gain more power, more power, more power, and if you can conserve your units and use them to 2v1 an opposing unit, you can do some really amazing, incredible things. And my opponent is pretty much dead. He starts a retreat here, which I respect. He's trying to link up with his teammate on the other side of the map. Um, and that's it. I kind of don't want to keep repeating the same thing, but one more time. What I was able to do is generate positional advantage on the left and roll that up to a win. And this turns out to be a pretty successful route. This is an ass beating. But my opponent was pretty good. He's better than 80% of the players that I play. I just happened to roll that up to a good advantage, etc. And there's a bunch of ways to generate positional advantage. A lot of them involve speed. I think the concept of speed is relevant, just the way the concept of speed is relevant in chess. Any kind of basic chess textbook will tell you about those two concepts. But I think that they really play over into this particular game. But this game has the advantage because it's a bit more interesting. And this is just me rounding up the rest of the opponent's army. He has 2 more units that he's chasing over, and I think Point Man is just about to finish killing his opponent now. So I'm going to let you finish the battle and fast forward, and I'll pick you up in the results screen. Cool close up there. Anyway, hey, this is the results screen, and just to drive the point home that I was able to, really put a beating on my opponent, and I thought that Silent Server was a really great player. I thought he did things better than the majority of people that I play with, but that small incremental advantage that I was able to generate really gave me the big deal. And that foot unit I had in the flank got 232 kills. That's a ton. So the general concept of this game is all about maneuver. This game is about maneuvering your people into a better position to generate positional advantage is one that I hope you think about. And that's it. So again, thanks to the guys from PDGC from playing with me. And that's it. Leave a comment, rate, subscribe, give a little thumbs up, and always check out more information at twreplays.com.